Understanding how to prompt ChatGPT correctly is a major life hack, especially if you're a real estate agent making YouTube videos. So in this video, I want to quickly show you the difference between a basic prompt and a God tier prompt. If you can see on the left side of the screen here in my Google Doc, we're going to go over 5 different prompts, and we're going to elevate that prompt each time in order to get to a really good prompt. I just want to show you what you can add to it each time to make it a little bit better. And by the way, I am a real estate agent in Fort Lauderdale, and I have used prompts in AI, and I've done this whole scripting and making videos thing for a long time. I have over 200 videos on my personal real estate channel. So let's go through this. Prompt 1, when you don't even necessarily know what a prompt is, you're probably plugging something in like, hey, can you script me a video about things to do in Fort Lauderdale? So let's plug that in and just see what it gives us. This is going to give us a good baseline to compare it to the God tier script. Because, by the way, I'm not going to plug each of these prompts into ChatGPT. I will tell you in which ways we're elevating the prompt each time, but I'm not going to plug each one in, because if I did, we would be here all day. So script a video about things to do in Fort Lauderdale. And it did exactly that. Top things to do in Fort Lauderdale. Welcome to Fort Lauderdale, the Venice of America, with its sun-kissed beaches, winding canals, and lively culture. This is a city. This city is a perfect mix of relaxation and adventure. Today, we're exploring the top things to do in Fort Lauderdale. Decent opener there. Decent opener. What I want you to understand, though, is I didn't plug YouTube in here. It has no idea if we're talking about TikTok, Instagram Reels, a story post, whatever. We didn't give it any direction there, which is going to be the second part. So if you want to pause this at any time here, I'm going to scroll for you so you can see the base layer or the basic script that this prompt spit out. There's that for you. All right, now let's go back. What are we going to add to that to make it a little bit better? Well, first, we're going to tell it that, hey, this is a YouTube video. The next thing, which is really important things, is giving it context on the audience that we're talking to, and then the desired tone that we want to speak in. So for this example, I plugged in, let's just read the whole thing. Script a YouTube video about fun things to do in Fort Lauderdale. That's what we had a second ago. For first-time home buyers, make it conversational like I'm talking to a friend. So we plugged in, hey, we're talking to first-time visitors of Fort Lauderdale. By the way, Fort Lauderdale is a vacation market, so these types of videos do very well. And I know that people visiting could eventually turn over and buy a piece of real estate here. So that's why these kinds of videos are stuff that I make on my personal channel. The next thing I plugged in is the desired tone. Make it conversational like I'm talking to a friend. And what I want you to know here is getting this into the specifics of what I wrote down here or typed right here is not the important part. The important part is to understand what you're doing. So this could be locals. Script a YouTube video about fun things to do in Fort Lauderdale for locals, and I want it to be professional. Make the tone professional, not conversational. Or you can put conversational yet professional. That's what I personally do in all of my prompts and in all of my scripts. But anyway, that's the second step. So let's get on to prompt 3 here. What we want to do after that is add a little bit of scripting structure to the prompt. That way, ChatGPT is giving us, the best script that it can, rather than just kind of guessing how we want it to look. And after studying this and doing this for so long, we understand that we need a good hook. Matter of fact, anybody in video for a long time understands that you need a good hook at the very beginning. Then it goes into some sort of intro. I haven't been doing an intro lately, so I go from hook straight to the contents within the video, and then the CTA, which is a call to action. It's basically you asking the viewer to do something. It's the ask that you make at the end or in the middle of the video. So let's read this one. Script a YouTube video about fun things to do in Fort Lauderdale for first-time visitors. Make it conversational like I'm talking to a friend. Structure it with a strong opening line, and then list 5 activities. And end with a quick conclusion, encouraging viewers to subscribe. So it's the same exact information or context that we gave it before, but it is telling it to format it in a particular way. And the reason we want to do this, again, the reason this is important is because a better script structure will retain the viewer longer. They'll watch the video longer with a good script. We don't just want to be blabbing about everything. My least favorite thing is when real estate agents open up videos and start just talking about themselves. Like, hey, this is AJ. I'm a real estate agent in Fort Lauderdale. If I can ever do anything for you, blah, blah, blah. My number is blah, 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 like that. They're already off the video. You got to know that within the first 10 or 15 seconds, you got to give them a reason to stay. So having a strong hook at the beginning, then getting into the content, and then ultimately making that ask, that's the structure that we want to give ChatGPT here in the prompt. So prompt 4 here, getting on to the next step, is adding relevant information. This is where you make it less AI. You want to personalize it. Script a YouTube video about fun things to do in Fort Lauderdale, Florida for first-time visitors. Make it conversational like I'm talking to a friend. Structure it with a strong opening line, then list 5 activities and end with a quick conclusion encouraging viewers to subscribe. And then we're going to give it my information. My information is, my name is AJ Butler. My market is Fort Lauderdale, Florida. My video idea or the concept of what I want to do is things to do in Fort Lauderdale. And then any additional notes that you want to add. This is really the important part, because if you've been using AI for a while, it probably knows that these things about you, your name, your market, things like that. And then obviously you got to plug in your idea. But the really, really important part here is giving it your own thoughts on the topic. That way, when it goes to script, it's actually using what you have in your brain. For example, I plugged some stuff in here that I really like about Fort Lauderdale. Some people may love totally different things, and this is where that personalization comes in. So going to the beach, walking alongside the riverwalk, outdoor activities like pickleball, run clubs, etc., boat tours through the city, seeing the city from the water, super cool, and visiting Las Olas Boulevard, which is like our main shopping and dining district. So now plugging all of these things in, this is getting a lot more specific of what I'm telling AI to do. I'm not only telling it, hey, here's exactly what I'm writing about and how I want you to structure it, but I want you to put this specific information in there. Because remember, we don't necessarily want AI to do all of the work for you. Of course, it's going to speed you up, but we don't want AI to be the one coming up with the contents, really. It's really just there to make your life more efficient. You still want to be the brains behind the videos that you're making. And that's why this personalization step is super important. So now, this one, massive difference in all of the other ones. It might, make you a little bit overwhelmed, but this is something that my team and I have used for a really long time, and we've put a lot of time and effort into it. And you're going to see that it's kind of crazy. So don't get freaked out. Let's just check this out together. And I'm going to read you through it and understand why everything's in there. So, God tier prompt. You want to give AI a role. This is what we're doing in this step. And then you want to give more details on the structure and the format of the script. You just want to make it more dialed. So let me just read through this. I know it might take a little bit of time, but let's do this. You're a professional YouTube script writer helping me, a real estate agent, create engaging, high retention videos that are conversational yet professional. So again, what do we do here? We told it to act as if they were a professional YouTube scriptwriter. Believe it or not, this helps a ton, because then it's going to come from that frame and potentially even do research or think, as much as AI can think as if it were a professional YouTube scriptwriter. So it's going to pull all that knowledge into writing this script. I also gave it a little bit more context that I'm a real estate agent, and I'm telling it to that you're going to create high retention videos that are conversational yet professional. The script should sound like I'm talking directly to a friend or a client, not like I'm reading from a script. Ensure the script is completely original and unique, and make sure there is no plagiarism. This is a big thing right here, because if you're telling the video or if you're telling AI to, hey, use high performing videos as a resource in order to script this video, what you don't want it to do is pull in the entire transcript from somebody else's video. You want to make sure that it's your own unique video. So that's why we have that plugged in here. And then just like I said before, the structure is hook, content, and then CTA. We're going to format it exactly as outlined below to ensure that it's easy to read and film. I'll show you the specific changes that we're making in this one that is so much different than the last one. The tone, again, just to reiterate, conversational yet confident and professional. Like a real person explaining something they know well and care about. This is pretty much the same thing as just adding your additional notes, your name, your market, the video idea or the concept of the video, and then as you can see, it's the same additional notes. So that didn't change much. Here's where it gets a little bit different. The script structure and the formatting rules. So instead of just telling it, hey, structure it in this way, now I'm actually giving it specific knowledge on what each one of those things is, because 10 different people can explain a hook to a video in 10 different ways, or the contents and the CTA. There's a bunch of different opinions out there and things like that. So after doing so much research and understanding how I like to make videos, I want to tell the AI, hey, you're going to do it in hook content CTA format, but I want you to do it in these ways specifically. So, for example, hook. Write a single sentence that immediately grabs attention. Make it short, natural, and punchy, like something you'd say to start a conversation. Don't over-explain. Spark curiosity or urgency and move on. Also, make sure this hook is bolded. This is something that my team and I do that I don't necessarily have to get into in this video, but the content. Start the section with a bolded transition sentence to smoothly lead into the topic. Then break the body of the content into 2 to 4 clearly separated blocks. Each content block must follow this structure. Begin with a bolded lead-in sentence that clearly sets up what the block is about. Follow with 4 to 5 conversational, helpful sentences underneath that expand on that point. Speak like you're walking someone through it in real life, clear, direct, and unscripted. Include relatable examples or context where needed, especially if it helps a viewer picture themselves in that scenario. The last thing here is avoid filler. Keep it simple. Don't repeat yourself. Treat every second as valuable. And then the CTA, we give it a little bit more direction here. Wrap up the video with one final bolded closing line that feels like a natural conclusion to the topic. Then immediately include this exact line also in bold. That wraps up this video on insert whatever topic. If you need anything in regard to real estate, all of my contact details can be found in the description of this video. Thank you so much for watching. So hopefully you didn't leave because that wasn't the real CTA or outro there. That's just what I use in my real estate videos on my other channel. But anyway, let's take this now and actually plug it into ChatGPT, and I want to show you the difference that it can make. This is a really, really strong prompt here. I'm going to go temporary chat, because I don't want it to know who I am. Let's make sure everything's filled out correctly. So yes, AJ, Fort Lauderdale, things to do in Fort Lauderdale. Additional notes, everything's plugged in. It looks good. So yeah, we're going to hit go. And we're going to see what this thing spits out as I get a quick sip of coffee here. All right, so the first things I'm looking at in particular, again, I said I wouldn't get into this, but I do every hook in bold and every first sentence of every paragraph in bold. This is the format that my team and I film in. Again, not really going to get into it in this video, but that's the first thing I'm looking for, because I want to make sure that it did that. It listened to me, which is good. And as you can see, it's very tight. It's very specific. I told it exactly what to do. I'm not going to read this whole thing because that would be a whole complete YouTube video in and of itself, but I'll read the hook and maybe a couple lines for you real quick. Thinking about visiting Fort Lauderdale, here's how to experience it like a local. And it's saying like a local because they're going to be visiting for the first time. Let's talk about what makes Fort Lauderdale so much fun. Start with the beach. It's the heart of the city. And then we'll get into it. We'll talk about that. Anyway, the point is to not, walk you through this script or this script step by step. Is to show you how important prompting is, because I can take this now and go customize it just a little bit more and have a completely ready to go script for a YouTube video, which actually gets me to the last point here. A God tier prompt, please hear me on this, is not a God tier script. The best prompts in the world will get you to an 80 or 90% completion rate, but you should never, ever just rely on AI, because at the end of the day, it is still AI. There's something that a lot of people, especially real estate agents, skip that will heavily increase how you're perceived online. In that next step, which is like the finishing touch, will make the viewer feel more connected to you and increase the likelihood that they stick around to watch the next video or decide to reach out to you directly. If you want to know what that next step is, I'm going to pop the video up here on the screen, but this next step is where you really take that script that we just created using this prompt and make it a killer YouTube video. So I hope you enjoy.